Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. For today's video, let's do a little monthly wrap up of everything that I read in the month of February. So for the month of February, I did read 5 books. I was in a really big reading slump at the end of February, which kind of didn't help with reading as much as I wish that I would be. So we started off the month strong with Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but this book was better than I expected it to be. I never thought that a classic would be this good. Struggled with it for a little bit, just trying to get into it and kind of really getting a picture of what this world looked like, but it was a pretty good read. I did rate this at 3.75. It's very interesting how this was written 60 plus years ago, and I feel like it's still pretty current to today, and I feel like he guessed some of the things that we have now. It's pretty amazing. This follows Guy Montag, and he is a fireman. Instead of saving people from fires, he actually helps burn books. So in this dystopian world, books are banned. The next read that we read for this month was Song of Achilles. Now, I did listen to Song of Achilles, and before I say this, please, nobody hate me, because I know there's so many of you guys that love this book, and I read it because so many of you guys said that it was amazing. However, I did DNF this, I think, about 90% of the way. For starters, I think it's because I listened to it that I wasn't that into it. I think maybe if I would have read it, I would have liked it a little bit more, but I don't know. I really honestly think it's because I listened to it and I didn't read it. And then I also halfway through was like, what do these characters look like? Because I feel like there wasn't like a lot of description going into the world at the beginning about how these characters look. So I did look it up and then kind of spoiled the ending for me, which I think made it even harder for me to emotionally put myself into this book, because I was kind of like, okay, I know what's going to happen. I rate this a 2. The only reason that I'm going to rate it is because I did get 90% of the way through. Yeah, I just wasn't that big of a fan of it, which breaks my heart to say, because I know there is a great mass following for this book, and I'm so sad that I can't be a part of that. This pretty much follows Achilles and Patrus. I can't say the other guy's name, but Achilles and a best friend that he has, pretty much through all this wartime and them having to kind of step up and be warriors and fall in love a little bit. I feel like the romance was done really good. I do remember parts with the romance where I was like, wow, like I could sense the passion that they had for each other, but I just feel like, I don't know, there was something lacking. And once again, I'm going to blame it wholeheartedly on that I listened to the audiobook instead of reading it, which I think is really where I messed up. Next, I read The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. And when I tell you guys, this book broke me entirely and has yet to put me back together. This book is the sole purpose of my reading slump. This book destroyed my life, like destroyed. This is obviously a 5-star book. When I tell you guys that I was sobbing for days after finishing this book, it's still all I can think about. This follows Beckett and Ella, and they are pen pals. I really don't want to say a lot about this book, just because I feel like going into it blindly is the best. in this scenario, but it is a romance. It is brothers, best friends, single mom, small town. I ate this up entirely. This is more than a love story. So much more than a love story, and it is just no critique. No critique. That is how amazing it is. But just a little warning that you will not be able to stop thinking about this book for the rest of your life, I fear. After that, I was in a little reading hiatus for about 2 to 3 weeks. I feel like for the rest of the month. I feel like I read those books within the first week of the month, and then after that I was like, books, what are they? Like, I could not pick anything up for the life of me. So I then read Marked by PC Cass and Kristen Cass. This book is a book that brings me back to my preteen era because this is what I was reading. I was all about these books growing up. Now, I did actually do a vlog on me reading these books while I was sick, in case you want to go check that out. But these books just didn't live up to the hype I gave it when I was 15, 14. It was funny. I mean, I got through it. The audiobook was really good. I'm still on the fence whether I want to finish this series or not, since this is like a 12-book series. It's a bit much. But this pretty much, we're following Miss Zoe Redbird. She gets marked and has to move to House of Night, which is where all teen vampires live before they become adult vampires, and it's just her journey through that. And like I said, it's insta-lovey, it's vampires, it's cheesy, it's written in the 2000s, so it is a little nostalgic. But other than that, I feel like it wasn't as amazing as I remember it in my mind, and I think that's what's really throwing me off. So I did rate this a solid 3. Would I be the first to recommend it? Probably not. But if you're feeling a little nostalgic and you remember reading these as a teen, I think that you maybe should go back and take a look at them. After that, we ended the month super strong with Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. Now, there is not a single thing that I can say about this book other than it was pure amazingness. This book single-handedly took me out of a reading slump. I could have not continued reading into the month of March without this gem of a book. This book was everything that I needed at the time. Everything. There's drama. There's chaos. There's longing. I was pretty much screaming at this book halfway through. It is, if you want feeling, there's feeling in here. This book was amazing. Amazing. I rated this obviously a 5-star. I cannot believe I had this on my shelf for so long before picking it up. Following Cora, which her name is Cora Bell, but everybody calls her Cora, and Dean. And Dean just happens to be Cora's sister's fiance. Yep, you heard that right. Fiance. When they both happen to get kidnapped, I guess it's not kidnapping because they're adults, but just napped, are now awoken and chained in a basement. And I feel like that's all I can say. That's it. This book, beautiful, traumatic. I feel like those are the words that sum up this book. If you have not read this yet, please run to read this, because I cannot say any more good things about this book. And if you're in a reading slump, this is it. This is the cure. This is it. That's all I have for you guys today. This month was pretty slow, especially because of that reading slump. So we'll see what we get up to next month. Please let me know down below what were your 5-star reads of the month, and maybe some reads that you didn't really enjoy. Until next time, bye!